Hey everyone, welcome back to this channel on Narcissism. It's my hope that what you hear here will help you make sense of these difficult situations, people and relationships, and help you to take steps to protect yourself. And today we're going to talk about, will therapy make them better? Let's face it, wouldn't it be great if a narcissist went to therapy and emerged a changed person? But the truth is probably not. So let's break it down. Let's imagine two scenarios. In the first scenario, we have a covert narcissist. They go to therapy. And in the second scenario, we have a grandiose narcissist. They also go to therapy. Let's explore what happens in both cases. In the first scenario, the covert narcissist goes to therapy. Now, when this happens, we may even say good for them. They're getting some validation and perhaps insight. Perhaps they'll stop being mean, vindictive, and passive-aggressive, right? Well, let's see. So the covert narcissist shows up for therapy. The therapist says, "Tell me why you're here." And the covert narcissist thinks about it for a moment. Well, they finally say, "I wanted to find out why I am always attracting these terrible people into my life. I mean, I can't catch a break. All of these people around me are using me. They're treating me terribly. Can't I just catch a break?" The therapist smiles knowingly. "Sounds like you've had a lot of difficult experiences with people. That sounds painful." "It is," says the client, "and it makes me wonder if I am just destined to always have these terrible things happen to me. Like always getting cancer or something. You know, I've had cancer twice already. Maybe I'm just fated to have bad things happen to me." The therapist leans forward. "You sound like a very empathetic person. Do you take on the feelings of others too much? Even to your own detriment sometimes?" The covert narcissist considers this. "Well, maybe. Some people tell me I'm too much of a people pleaser, but I don't know. How could this possibly be the reason for all of my problems? Why would that cause all of this bad stuff to happen to me? It doesn't make sense." A few sessions go by. The covert narcissist keeps going on about how horrible everyone has been to them, and the therapist keeps pointing out that the covert narcissist seems to attract these awful people. The covert narcissist rejects this idea at every turn, insisting that it must be fate or bad luck, not something they do. The therapist says, "What do you think about that?" The covert narcissist says, No, that can't possibly be true. I must be cursed." The therapist shrugs. The covert narcissist continues to dominate therapy, telling the therapist about how everyone owes them, and how much better off everyone would be if they were dead. The therapist listens and nods along and writes notes. The covert narcissist feels understood and validated and leaves feeling quite pleased with themselves. Now, the therapist may actually believe that the covert narcissist is indeed cursed, or maybe the therapist is simply playing along to get the covert narcissist to keep coming to therapy. Either way, the covert narcissist walks out of therapy feeling pretty pleased with themselves. So was therapy good for the covert narcissist? Well, not really. We're seeing a classic example of a narcissistic person using therapy to continue to play the victim. Covert narcissists need to be the victim. In fact, they need to be the biggest victim there ever was. And now they have found an ally in this unwitting therapist who seems willing to support the grandiosity of being the most victimized person who ever lived. The covert narcissist has found another place where they can be, where they can manipulate, and where they can have someone play along, which feeds their false self-image as a perpetually victimized person. Therapy may feel good for the covert narcissist, but it hasn't changed them. So what happens in the second scenario? Well, let's take a look. In the second scenario, we have a grandiose narcissist. They decide to go to therapy. Perhaps they had to go as part of a divorce or custody arrangement. Maybe their workplace mandated it. Whatever the reason, they show up for therapy. The therapist asks the questions, "So why are you here?" And the grandiose narcissist says, "Well, I'm here because my lawyer told me I had to be. Honestly, I'm doing great. I mean, I'm very successful, but some people have suggested I could be even more successful if I had some help dealing with my anger issues." The therapist nods. "That does sound like it could be helpful. What do you think about that?" The grandiose narcissist ponders this for a moment. Yeah, I guess it wouldn't hurt. Besides, it looks good on paper, you know? I've got anger management, anger issues, whatever. It's all BS. But I gotta do what I gotta do to win." The sessions continue, and the grandiose narcissist continues to paint a picture of how great they are. The therapist, bless their heart, seems to buy it, buying into the grandiose narcissist's tales of triumph and success. The therapist never challenges the grandiose narcissist. After all, they are a narcissist and they are the ones who chose to come to therapy. They are clearly committed to working on themselves. The thought of challenging the grandiose narcissist never crosses the therapist's mind. After a while, the grandiose narcissist starts telling the therapist how they've given money to charity, lots of money, so much money. They start talking about how generous they are with the people they love, giving them everything they could ever possibly need. The therapist smiles warmly and says, "Well, that sounds very generous of you. Must feel good to give." The grandiose narcissist beams. "It does. I'm a giver. I'm a real giver. I'm definitely a philanthropist. I am one of the most generous people you'd ever meet." The therapist leans back and nods. Yes. That sounds very good. It's wonderful you have that in your life. So was therapy good for the grandiose narcissist? Well, maybe it was. They may have found someone to admire them, and that feels good. They may have found someone to listen to their tall tales, and that feels really good. Narcissistic people thrive on validation, and if the therapist is willing to play along, therapy can be a wonderful narcissistic supply playground. But has anything changed? Not really. Therapy hasn't changed them. In fact, it's possible that therapy has been validating for them, and that will only reinforce the narcissism. A person who is narcissistic doesn't really want to change. They want to be admired. They want to be flattered. They want attention. So if they go to therapy, they may well leave feeling better about themselves because narcissistic folks tend to take what they want from people. They don't give. But when narcissistic folks enter therapy, they will take validation, admiration, support, and any other positive feedback they can get from the therapist. But that taking and never giving, that's not therapy. That's narcissistic supply gathering. Therapy works for people who want to change, who have insight, who are open to seeing things from other people's points of view, and who want to take responsibility for their own issues. That's what therapy works for. That's what insight-oriented therapy works for. But narcissistic people don't want any of that. They want to be right, they want to be understood, they want to be admired, they want to be flattered. But those aren't therapeutic goals. Those are narcissistic goals. And so whether the narcissist is covert or grandiose, whether they're malignant or communal when they go to therapy, chances are they will use it for their own narcissistic benefit to support their own false self-image, and they won't change. Now, it is possible that the narcissist may go to therapy and then get angry because they realize that it is not about them. Therapy is never about the therapist. Therapy is about the person who's paying the bills. But narcissistic people don't like that reality, so they'll quit therapy early. So let's recap. Whether the narcissist is covert or grandiose, malignant or communal, therapy is unlikely to change them. Therapy can be validating, and that may feel good for a bit, but it's unlikely that therapy will change them. Thanks again.